Well, hello. My name is Peter Ball. I'm a Professor in Operations Management at the University of York's Management School. I've got a short presentation on the Transfire project. I will load some slides up in a minute and take you through a very short journey of what one part of the Transfire project is all about. So, the Transfire project, Transforming Foundation Industries Research and Innovation Hub, has a number of components to it. I'm going to talk through where my involvement comes in something called Workstream 3, and I'll explain what Workstream 3 is in a minute. But what I'm presenting about is all about working with communities. So the area that is really important for me within the project is how we can work with the partners of this project, with all of those in the foundation industries, but critically other people, whether it's the local communities, whether it's entrepreneurs, or whether it's existing businesses but who aren't in the foundation industry sector. So that's what I'm going to present on. I won't say too much detail, but I'll give you a taster of what we're about. So I will give very much a workstream focus. I'll also give you something called a technical working groups brief focus as well. So within Transfire we have three work streams. The first one, Workstream 1, is about transferring best practice. So it's about what can we do with what we already know about what goes on in industry. And that might be just taking practices from within that industry, or it could be taking them from related industries. Workstream 2, at the bottom right hand side of the screen, is about, I've got to rephrase this, I was going to say where there's muck there's brass, but we're rephrasing it to where there's muck there's gold, and it's about creating new materials opportunities. So it's a different perspective about how can we look into the foundation industries, and the foundation industries that we're focusing on are ceramics, metals, cement, glass, paper and bulk chemicals. So we're looking at how we can work with the foundation industries in Workstreams 1 and 2. Workstream 3 is where the team I work with comes in, and it's all about working with wider communities, whoever that is, and aiming to co-develop new businesses or new business opportunities. So making more of what's already there. So we have a hub structure, and we have a management group advised by the stakeholder steering group, and we have project partners feeding into a forum into this, and we have an independent international advisory council, and that comprises of industry, government and academia. And we also have a really key focus on EDI. So we are really passionate about equality, diversity and inclusion within this hub. Now the hub is made up of a matrix, and I'm maybe repeating things you might already know about the hub. So we have the technical working groups that I covered briefly on the previous slide. So those are the areas of natural synergies, or perhaps they're the home of natural synergies, but cross-cutting these are three work streams, and I've already introduced what these work streams are. So the work stream I belong to is about working with communities, and it's about co-development and seeing what new opportunities we can realise. So what does this actually mean in detail, and who are involved? I think it's important to introduce the research team to start off with. We work across three universities, so University of Edinburgh, University of York and then Leeds as well. We have a number of investigators and a number of postdocs. So we have Steve Yearley at Edinburgh, who's leading the work there, and a postdoc, a research associate, Kyle Parker. within the University of York, both across the Management School and the Stockholm Environment Institute, are Steve Sinderby and Gary Hack, working with postdocs of David Clancy and Jean McKendry. And then finally, Anne Vellenturf, whose name you might have seen in other parts of the project. She has multiple roles, and we're lucky enough to have her on our work stream. So that's where we're spread in two of the UK's 4 nations. I'll say a little bit more about that in a minute. But we have 4 areas that we're focusing on. The first is business practices. There's lots of things out there already, but how can we get a culture of sharing and collaboration to bring those existing practices across from other areas, and importantly co-develop new ones? Secondly, we want to work with communities and companies, and we want to look at stakeholders and how stakeholders can be engaged to co-design and importantly create value. And that value might be opportunistic, and there are plenty of examples I'll give you in a minute, might be opportunistic over the current waste. So we want to turn waste into value. And importantly, we want to spread that benefit around and make sure that multiple parties can get access to these benefits so everyone wins, and it's in everyone's mutual interest to make things succeed. So the third area, that this naturally leads on to the third area of business opportunities, but particularly how place can assist in fostering value. So this is where we're looking at, if we look at a geographic location, how important is that in the value creation process, and how can we leverage the co-location to best effect? And then finally, naturally, we have to know how we are going to measure the impact of what we're doing, but we want to understand that impact not just on a single enterprise or a collection of foundation industry enterprises, but in a whole area, and look at both micro and macro opportunities. So what we're going to do in a little bit more detail, 4 nations within the UK, and ideally we are going to have multiple cases spread across these territories. We're definitely going to have one in each of these countries, and we're going to try, where possible for research purposes, to pair the cases so that we can carry out objective comparison. And on that first bullet, that beyond sectors and beyond sites is really important to us. We want to spread the net and engage different types of stakeholders in seeking opportunities to create value and, importantly, reduce carbon. And some of these resources that we might tap into could be obvious, like foundation industries use a lot of energy, so there might be a lot of waste heat and CO2 from combustion. But there might be other less obvious resources. Well, you might say materials is an obvious resource, but land and skills. Are we using these skills that we have already or have access to, and are we using the land most effectively? So we want to look very broadly. And we're going to do that by having workshops, looking at feasibility of options and building consortiums around those options that are most feasible. And I've already said this about seeking value opportunities, and it might be a new business venture, or it might just be an extension of an existing business. And to think about what good looks like, there are certain places around the world, including in the UK, and an example here is AB Sugar, where you extract value from everything that's available, and you think laterally around what can you do with heat and carbon dioxide. Well, but maybe they can be used for growing things, but there are lots of opportunities to extract value from materials that for one person might be a waste, and for others it might be an opportunity to gain nutrients or to gain material benefit out of. So I hope that summary has given you a good overview of Workstream 3. I'm hoping you've caught the names of the teams, the team members that are part of Workstream 3. You can easily search for these and get in contact with any one of these, and I will just finish by saying thank you for listening, and I'll leave my contact details there at the very end.